Ana Carolina Carino is the interim deputy representative of UN Women Brazil, a political scientist with an extensive experience in gender equality, economic empowerment, and governance. Anna has worked with UN Women, ILO, and other international bodies, specializing in advancing women's leadership and participation in the workforce and politics across Brazil and Latin America. Welcome, Anna Carolina. We are honored to recognize you as a part of the female leaders we are highlighting this year at the Digital Power of Women conference.
I am so honored to be highlighted among this set of group of women. So powerful. I feel so proud.
We were together in Rio at the W20 conference. You were the representative for UN Women Brazil. I want to talk a little bit about that experience. What was the decision that inspired you career with the UN, and you as a Brazilian with African descent, how do you bring that identity into this role?
Well, I am here working for UN Women since 2007. At the beginning, I was a researcher and then I came to do admin work, but always engaged and committed to transform women's lives, especially dedicated to Afro-descended and indigenous. We work to promote change and to promote change in women's lives and Black women's and indigenous women's lives. So this is more or less how I found myself in doing this work and how I am passionate about it.
Thank you for sharing that. And with that, I want to ask the next question with your work with the UN Women in Brazil. You just did a collaboration with UN Global Compact in Brazil, aiming to elevate 11,000 women into senior leadership positions by 2030. Can you share a little bit more about what is happening, the progress, and even how some women from Brazil who's watching this can benefit from this program?
Yes, we have a strong partnership with the UN Global Compact because as we launch it and co-implement the Women's Empowerment Principles, which is a set of 7 guiding principles to private sector companies to promote change in women's lives. So you have the principle number 1, which is the top leadership commitment to promote gender equality, but you have also actions and principles to change the inside companies and also how this company impact the communities and through its value chain. So we have been implementing these principles jointly since 2010. And the UN Global Compact, considering the SDG as part of its SDG acceleration initiatives, it launched the Ambition 2030 initiative. And one of the key topics is gender equality. So we continue working together on this initiative, but we have to be ambitious. So we have to foster and to have a high level target to reach 2030 with more than 11,000 women in leadership positions, because what we need is parity. What we'll need is to be able to have equal opportunities to be in this position and to be valued from what we bring, from our experience, from what we are. So this is the target and this is the vision behind.
This is something that's much needed, and I'm so glad you shared a little bit about it with us. Like you said, 11,000 jobs won't be solving the problem, but we have to start somewhere and we have to be ambitious enough to go towards these goals, and it's always possible when we come together. And I know it's about over 1,000 companies have come together, right?
In Brazil, it is they call movements. It is the movement with the highest number of companies that have committed to. So we are proud of that. So we need to take advantage of this momentum, you know.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of momentum growing right now, even within the G20 forum, the UN, many of the forums, even the COP. I think, Anna, this is such a great time for us to really get all the leaders involved, because we are talking about half of the population being able to be reflected at the leadership position. I mean, like you said, parity. We just need to have that reflected. So we have a broader perspective to choose solutions from.
So the G20 has a tremendous power of change because we are talking about the 20 highest economies in the world. We are in a forum dedicated to economic development, but we know that we cannot only discuss the economic aspect. So we need to discuss the sustainable development and how people are impacted by the development and how people can contribute to development solutions. We need to discuss about tech, women in STEMs, to have equal opportunities and to eliminate the sexual division of knowledge and working. We need to talk about violence against women because we know that violence has an economic impact. We need to discuss climate change. We are not expecting a change in the climate. We are already facing the effects of the climate change. We need to discuss care economy. So if we don't talk about how more than half of the population, global world population, can contribute to development and how they are affected by the supposed gender neutral decisions, we will fail for sure.
Anna, something you mentioned, I want to go to some very important topic you touched upon. Indigenous women, environment, and technology. And my next question is, considering the importance of the Indigenous women in environmental preservation, how can UN Women address the digital divide to ensure these women can access digital tools, have access to internet, so they can expand their network digitally, participate in these digital international forums, and have their voice be heard?
Yeah, I think that we have been supporting all indigenous women, Afro-descendant, and Quilombola women as well, who are members of Afro-rural communities created by former slaves in Brazil. They are directly connected to nature. They have a different cosmovision that we, as human beings, we are part of nature as well. So how can we live our lives respecting nature, respecting the natural cycles, and respecting all the animals and etc. So they were the first ones to feel in a more direct way the effects of climate change, because as the type of connection is different, and they are responsible for preserving nature as they have this different connection. So if we look into the different areas in Brazil, the most preserved ones are those that we have indigenous and quilombola people living in. So they have the solutions. They have the solutions because they have this different way to connect with nature. So we have been working with indigenous and quilombola leaders so they can get together, they can work with government authorities to share their knowledge and their solutions. This at the municipal, subnational, now at national level, especially here in Brazil, that we have a Minister of Indigenous People led by an indigenous woman leader. And we also have incentivate their participation in intergovernmental fora related to climate change and other climate related issues. And of course, that internet connection, closing the digital divide. So we have been working with some partners from private sector to foster closing the digital divide and also to bring it to rural areas and in the indigenous communities. But we, in the first place, what we want to see is them in the decision making for discussing and presenting their solutions, because it's different. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why, we're working with some communities in different parts of Africa, and we are able to with them because of the internet. And these voices need to be heard. And especially the indigenous communities, you said something very important we have to highlight. They are preserving the knowledge. They hold the knowledge to preserve nature. Indigenous
Yeah.
communities actually are able to help us with this crisis we are facing as humanity with climate change. Across the
Yeah.
world, indigenous communities, especially considering Brazil and the Amazon rainforest being there, I think it's very important we give them the platform to share their knowledge and to also incorporate that knowledge in the decision-making processes. And I also want to get to another question, Anna. When you look at the G20 leadership, out of the 20 leaders, it's only 2 female leaders, 18 male leaders. So I think it's really important that we bring male allyship in the process because it's evidence that female leadership can be very good for society and economic development, retaining peace, keeping peace, and even attaining the sustainable development goals. How can we actually, even through UN Women, how can we bring more male allyship?
Well, you're right. We cannot. It's not a women's issue that only women should discuss and only women should commit. The world leaders, the huge majority, they are men. So we need to have men committed and understanding the value of promoting equality, the value of bringing women to be contributing to the solutions, and not bringing women to designing solutions that can identify the barriers. So if we don't have committed leaders, we won't have progress on gender equality, on women's leadership, because they are the ones that hold the power now, the majority, right? So this is why, as 10 years ago, UN Women globally launched the He for She movement. So the He for She movement, it's not a movement to have men speaking on behalf of women. It's a movement to promote reflections and decisive actions towards the promotion of gender equality. So men need to reflect on their own masculinity and values. Men should reflect on how they can change the current situation, on how they can use their power to remove barriers and promote equal opportunities for women and men. So we need to have men allies in our journey and in our work. Otherwise, we will fail.
Absolutely. Well said. I love how you brought up the reflection component because that's what we believe. Through reflection, you can recognize. And through recognizing what each person is playing, the role we are playing, we can start respecting, really respect, and work towards solutions together. It was so great hearing from you, Anna. And with your beautiful insights you have shared, I want to ask you, what are some of your core values that guide you and your work?
Well, my core values that guide me on my work are the same core values that guide me in my life. So, as I work to promote gender equality and women's empowerment, so equal opportunities and treatment for all, I also work treating all people as equal. I truly believe that all human beings, we are equal. We have our contributions. We have richness to share. We have our dreams, and we can contribute for a better world from where we stand. I really value the transparency. I really value to be a trustful person. So I really want and value to have respectful and trustful relationships, independent if it is in the work, if it is in my personal life. So I think that these are my key core values.
Wow, what you shared is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And with the last question, what is one advice you would give to a girl who is looking at you right now and thinking, hey, I want to be that?
Well, the most important one is to believe in herself, to believe that it's possible, and to be open to the opportunities that life offers to us. Because it was not part of my best dreams to be working for the UN. I didn't see myself in this position when I was a girl. It was something totally out of the scope of possibilities of professional work. And then I had the opportunity to join the UN. So, not seeing what the other was doing, but working with joy, and seeing value on what I was doing at that moment. And this gave me the opportunity to see some results that I was not targeting, but it was the result of this work with joy, this work with pleasure, this commitment, and the commitment of doing the best that I could do. So believe in your dreams, be open to the opportunities life presents to you, and always work with joy and commitment, professionalism, because doing this, the universe will bring several beauties and rewardings, to you, and believe in yourself.
Thank you so much, Anna, for your words of wisdom and for joining us today at the Digital Power of Women conference.
I thank you for the invitation, for the opportunity, for this conversation.
Today we have the ambassador of Chad to the United States with us, joining us from DC. Welcome to the second annual Digital Power of Women conference, Ambassador Kitoko.
Thank you so much, Shinari, for inviting me.
Of course. Let's start the conversation with telling us a little bit about Chad, where you're from. It's in Africa. It's one of the 55 nations that's a part of the AU. Tell us a little bit about Chad and the role of women in Chad.
Thank you so much, Shinari, for inviting me to join this important conversation. As ambassador of Chad, I'm definitely honored to share my thoughts on the challenges and opportunities for women in my country. Chad is one of the 55 countries of the African Union. And for long, my country has been known for security and leadership, peace building. They lead for many years the fight against counterterrorism within Africa. But the people always forget to say that Chad is a beautiful country with a rich cultural history. Chad is at the heart of Africa, and it is the only country in Africa that share borders with the northern part of Africa, the eastern part, the western part, and the sub-Saharan part. So it's a country rich in diversity, cultural diversity.
That's really amazing because a lot of people don't know where Chad is, or they may have never heard of it. That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And you brought up something really good about peace and security. And that's actually one of our themes, our major themes that we are discussing at Digital Power of Women Conference this year. Can you tell us a little bit about how you see your role as a female leader playing in peace and security and how the country of Chad is playing that role at a global scale?
Thank you for the question. My role as a peace building is definitely challenging for me because that's the very first time in the history of the country that our leader, appoint a woman as ambassador of Chad to the United States, which is a very big mission they're giving me. Since I become ambassador, I've seen some challenges a woman can face in the diplomatic field. But when you have the support, strong support, and the persistence, you work, that gives you a way to rise as a leader in that position. That gives you also the power to create more avenue for women in leadership in Chad, because we can advocate for the women's involvement in the development, in the decision making process of the country. By being here in the United States, our voice is much more stronger.
Absolutely. And you being here and really handling the peace building component is very important. And that actually takes to the next question about the economy and economic growth in Chad, and how are you handling as the diplomat among these two countries towards the development of Chad and creating opportunities for more women?
Yeah, the peace building is very important, and I believe that women are born leaders and especially born to keep peace within society, community. So, women can better be a peace building leaders. They can promote inclusivity within the family, the community, but also inclusivity within the government. As an ambassador, when I came, I just considered that the economic duty of the mission was very important, like, the security mission I have as an ambassador. A country that doesn't have a strong economy cannot be powerful and cannot even invest in security. So I have to work very hard to put in the landscape of decision here in the United States. I have to change the narrative. I have to get involved in more conferences to promote the country, and especially promote the business opportunities that Chad possess, and unfortunately that are not known by the people.
Absolutely. And that's your job in essence, to actually, how do you highlight the country and what it has to offer at the global stage. And when you talk about creating opportunities for women and there are opportunities in Chad, what kind of opportunities are available in Chad?
Okay. In Chad, like in many African countries, we do have so many important opportunities for women, not only in the government field, in the diplomacy, in NGOs, in culture, in business. I don't know if you have been in Africa, but in Chad, when you go in Chad and you walk down in the street, you will see many micro businesses in the environment. And if you take over 100, more than half of those people are women. So you can see that women own the majority of the micro businesses that that impact in the GDP of the country. So what we do here as ambassador is to create that avenue to advocate in front of our leaders to create a better environment that can help those ladies, those women, to get in a more formal way to do business, and also give them incentive to develop what they're doing. Sometimes when they do things, they really impact in the day-to-day life of the populations.
And Ambassador Kitoko, one of the things we all have to realize is, as countries like Chad are growing and looking to grow, we all have to come together to actually make a difference as a global community. All the countries have to come together and work in collaboration and in partnership and in harmony. And I think that's where even female leadership can play such a critical role, where these relationships can be handled in a much more diplomatic way. And that's a role you're playing. And I think there's a huge opportunity with G20 happening in South Africa next year. And the African Union will have more visibility, will be able to participate more. And this is a great way to really start getting together and collaborating, especially with the female perspective, which is what we are doing at Power of Women. I want to ask you some questions about your values as a female leader. You're from Shad. What are some values that you tap into in this role you're playing right now?
The values I promote is integrity, persistence, determination, and always hope. To have to be such position sometimes is not easy because you're facing a lot of challenges like gender biases or even cultural expectation, and you have to be strong in your mind also, because sometimes as a woman there's situation that sometimes hurt you, and you have to be determined, because sometimes you have some goals, but unfortunately you can face also a lot of exogenous elements that get into and that are difficult to overcome. But when you're determined, when you have hope, and when you work with persistency, you make sure that the goal you set up when you become ambassador, you are able to reach them, not only for you, but for also for your country and for the women back in the continent.
Wow, I really love what you shared the last bit. Everything was so beautiful. When you say you envision becoming the ambassador and you do it, and you become an inspiration to so many other girls like you, because you're one of the first women to do this, take on this role, and other girls now know it's possible. They can dream big. It is possible with persistence and determination. And thank you, Ambassador Kitoko. And I want to ask you one last question in terms of development, because when you talk about development and why some people might not know Chad or how it can come into the conversation, how is the internet connectivity and the digital connectivity within the country? Is it good? Is it in developing phases? How is it?
When we talk about development and economy, like you say, we are in an area of digitalization. Everything is about artificial intelligence, internet connection, how we know the world become a big interconnected village. And one of the issues in Chad at the time, it was the internet access. It was definitely low, and we have to develop that connectivity to be able to open the country to the foreigners. And also the narrative of Chad was always focusing on the security, the peace, how we protect the national borders. But I believe that today, with the digitalization, Chad is opening into other countries. We can promote Chad here in the United States to the other ambassadors, to the NGOs, to the business, to the private sector in the United States. But we can use in a better way internet to widely promote the goods and the business opportunities that Chad is having. And today, every kids are connected to internet using the phone. So if we can use that to have a better perception of our countries, that would be definitely good. So that people will be more interested on, oh, Chad is not only about security, it's not only about humanitarian crisis, but Chad possesses a lot of beauty, possesses a lot of business opportunity for the people outside.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Kitoko, for sharing that message and for joining us today. I thank you for joining our audience, and we are honored to have you.
Thank you so much, Shinali, for giving me that platform today to present my country.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And